So today's lesson is going to cover the rock cycle and how one rock can move through the cycle in either direction. As we go through, we're going to talk about where am I coming from, what's happening to me, and where I'm going to. All right, before we get started, let's go over what is a rock one more time. We're always going to ask our is question. So when we're talking about rocks, our is question is it a mixture of minerals, rocks, organic matter, and other things? So that's our big question. Is it a mixture? Because if it's not a mixture, if it's a pure substance, then it's a mineral. If it's a mixture, it's a rock. So the rock cycle itself is how one rock slowly over time changes into another rock. And they've called this process the rock cycle because one thing is moving, changing, and becoming something new. Just like our water cycle, okay? It's very similar, and water changes as it maybe evaporates, precipitates, goes through that cycle. The rock cycle is similar. The rock cycle is constantly moving. Rocks are constantly changing from one type of rock to another type of rock. So when you're trying to predict the rock cycle, there's three questions you're going to ask. So you're going to pretend you're the rock. You're going to ask, where did I come from? Did I come from an igneous rock? Did I come from sediment? Did I come from inside the earth? Did I come from outside? You got to figure out, where did I come from? The second question is, what's happening to me? What's happening? Am I melting? Am I compacting together? Okay. Am I hardening? Am I exposed to heat and pressure? What is happening to me? And then finally, where am I going? So based on what is happening, you can only go one place. So you're going to think about, where did I come from? What's happening to me? And where am I going? All right, so let's look at a metamorphic rock. We know metamorphic rock is formed under great heat and pressure. So my first question is, where am I coming from? So on this, I'm coming from a metamorphic rock. There's some things that can happen to me. I can melt. Okay? If I'm a metamorphic rock, I can melt. If I melt, where am I going? Well, I'm going to be in the mantle, or I'm going to erupt in a volcano. I'm going to cool, and I'm going to an igneous rock. If I'm melting, the only place I can go is an igneous rock. Okay? Now, I'm a metamorphic rock. What's happening to me? All of a sudden, that linebacker's on top of me and squishing me. I'm heating up and the pressure's increasing. So if I'm happening, what's happening is heat and pressure, there's only one thing that I can be going to. I'm going to a metamorphic rock. I can be going to a foliated or a non-foliated, but that is the only place I can go. Finally, I'm a metamorphic rock. I'm getting broken down into little pieces. I'm weathering. I'm becoming sediment. Those sediments can get glued together, and I become a sedimentary rock. So I ask myself, where am I coming from? What's happening to me? Here's our happening: melting, heat and pressure, sediment. That's our middle. And our final question is, where am I going? So based on what's happening, I can only end up in one place. All right, let's take a look at sedimentary. So where am I coming from? Well, I'm coming from a sedimentary rock. I could be coming from a layered rock. I could be coming from one that's just all glued together. I could be coming from a fossil. I could be coming from any type of sedimentary rock. Just as any other rock, there's only three things that can happen to me. I can melt, I can be exposed to heat and pressure, or I can get crushed up. I guess the fourth would be I could stay the same. Okay, but the three things we're talking about that could be happening to you are you could melt, in which case you're going to be magma, you're going to cool off, and you're going to become an igneous rock. I came from sedimentary. What happened? I melted. Where am I going on my path? There's only one way to go, and that's an igneous rock. My second path is I'm a sedimentary rock. I'm exposed to heat and pressure. I get smushed together, and I become a metamorphic rock. This happens to be a foliated metamorphic rock. And the last thing that can happen to me, I'm a sedimentary rock. I get broken down again. I get cemented back together again, and I become another sedimentary rock. Remember, all three rocks can go in the cycle and become itself or the other two. And finally, where am I coming from? Well, I'm starting as an igneous rock. And as I look at it, they're big, coarse grains. So I know this is an intrusive igneous rock. If I'm an igneous rock, that's where I'm coming from. There's only three things that can happen to me. I can melt, I can be exposed to heat and pressure, or I can get crushed. If I'm exposed to melting, I'm going to cool off, and I'm going to become an igneous. If I'm exposed to heat and pressure, I'm going to become a metamorphic. And finally, the same path. If I get crushed, I'm going to start cementing together, and I'm going to become a sedimentary rock. This process is always the same. It's always the same three questions. Where am I coming from? What's happening to me? And where am I going? Those three questions. The next thing is to put it all together. Trace your steps through it. Figure out where you're coming from, what's happening to you, and where are you going. And you're going to use your note sheet to do that. And we're going to work through it together. If you're at home and you're reviewing this, you're going to want to go out and get the rock cycle lesson.